Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be recreating this homepage by Teachable, and Teachable is an online platform where you can create and sell your own courses, and this video is not sponsored. So we're going to be using NextJs to build this out, and it is a pretty cool looking landing page. Looks very nice and very unique, and so we're going to be building all of this out using NextJs. So of course the first thing that I want to do is I want to create a new Next application. So I'm going to open up my terminal and I'm going to say cd into my desktop and then into a folder that is called YT videos. Oops. And then inside here I'm going to say npx create next app, and then I'm going to call this, let me call it I recreate dash teachable. And then we're going to go through a few steps here and then we are going to begin. So we don't want to use TypeScript. We want to use ESLint. We want the source directory. We don't want the app directory, and we want this import. And the reason why we want this import is because we want to easily access deeply nested files. So this is easier than doing dot dot slash dot dot slash dot dot slash all the time. And that's why we select this one. So let this finish running, and then once it's done, we are going to begin. And there we go. So it has created this folder. And so what I want to do is I want to open up an instance of Visual Studio Code into this folder. So I'm going to say code I recreate dash teachable, and then this is going to open up VS Code. And then the first thing that I want to do is what did I call this? I recreate. I spelled it wrongly. Recreate. That's why it opened up a file instead of the folder. So now this is the folder. So let's close this. Don't save that. And then you can have this as full screen. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to install Tailwind CSS, which is going to help us in our styling. So let's go ahead into the Tailwind docs. We can now close this, close, and then let's navigate into Tailwind docs, Tailwind CSS docs. And then in the frameworks, we're going to be using NextJs. So let's copy this, paste in, let's copy this, let it run before we can paste it in. And once it runs, you can paste in this second one. And because we are using the source directory, so we're going to copy this part. And then once it creates the Tailwind config file right here, we can paste it inside the content and then save it. And then we can paste this inside our global CSS. So copy, and then inside the source folder, inside the styles, inside global CSS, we're going to remove everything inside here and then paste this in and then save it. And then now we can begin to run our dev server by saying npm run dev. So I'm going to say npm run dev. And then for this font, these fonts are not available on Google Fonts. So I'm going to select the what's it called, the most appropriate one. Or I'm just going to use Montserrat for this one, and then we're going to check another font for the headings. So let's go into fonts.google.com. Or even instead of Montserrat here, we can use Poppins. It's close to Poppins. So let's see. I want a heading font. So will this load in? Thank you. So you want a font that looks like Times New Roman. So let me just browse this. It might take some time, but let me just browse. You see why I wanted to use Montserrat? It's very close to this one. But just give me a moment so that I can find the correct heading font, or rather an appropriate heading font that we can use. See this one? It's called Playfair Display. We can use this one. I mean, it's not exactly like this one, but you know what? Let me copy this text and then let's replace the text here. So type something so that we can see how it looks. So where's the Playfair? See this one? This is the font that I was suggesting, and it kind of looks close to this one, right? So we can use this one, and then we can also use I guess the Poppins font is okay, but I don't want to use the Poppins font. I want to use Montserrat. So Playfair Display, let's select what weight is this? This is about 400, and 400 as well, or 500, but all of this looks like 400. let's use the 400 font width. So Playfair display, and it only has the 400 and 500, I guess. Oh, it has multiple. Okay. And then let's go ahead and select the Montserrat font as well. So go back, really, go back. Let's select the Montserrat font. And then we are going to be using this one for our text, for our paragraphs. So for this one, we're going to select the regular 400. And I want to select the bold 600, the semi-bold 600, because I noticed this. I noticed this one. So this one can be 500. And you know what, let's just use 500 instead of the semi-bold 600. So let's use the medium 500. And then we're going to use the import tab to select both fonts, to import both fonts. So copy. And by the way, I should mention that in NextJs 13, you can actually use Google Fonts without having to import all of this. But this is just a habit that I've picked up. Not really a habit, but it's more like muscle memory. I always go to Google Fonts first. And so let's go ahead and do this. So let's select all the fonts, all the elements, sorry, to have a font family of Montserrat with a fallback of sans serif. Am I doing this correctly or wrongly? This one is in quotes. Montserrat. And then we're going to select the heading 1, the heading 2, the heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, and heading 6 to have a font family of Playfair. How do you add it in? So Playfair display. What is it? No, let me just copy this and paste it here. So Playfair display and a fallback of serif. Okay, so we're going to have that. So let's save this, and then let's go ahead and go into localhost 3000. I think we already ran this, yes. So let's go into localhost 3000, and we should be able to see our application running. If this is going to load in, okay. So you can see that this is the default application that we have by NextJs 13, and obviously it is light. It is usually darker, but the reason why it is lighter currently is because we deleted our styles in our global CSS. So we're not going to be using the home module CSS either. So let's go ahead and delete it. So delete this file, and this is going to cause an error because now we don't have this file. And then inside the pages folder, inside the index.js, we're just going to say this. Let me say we want to remove everything inside everything below the head. So everything all the way to here. And then let's go ahead and remove this one. We don't need this, we don't need this, and this currently. And then this one can just change into the document title. So Teachable says Teachable online course platform, create and sell courses. Teachable online course platform. Wait, is that what it said? Okay. And then create and sell courses. So create and sell courses, and that is going to be our document title. So when I save this, then this is also going to change. Okay, we don't have this favicon, and I'm not going to add it in. So let's do this now. Let me place this to the right, and then let's place our code editor to the left, and then let's see what we need to do. The first thing is inside the source folder, we're going to create a components folder. So components. And then inside components folder, we're going to create a new file that is called header.js, header.js, not dot. And then header.js is going to be our navbar on the top. So let's go ahead and say this. We're going to say RFC, and I'm using an extension that is called ES7 React Redux snippets. So you can go ahead and install it, and then you'll be able to do shorthand properties. So React function component, for example, or you can say RAFCE to create an arrow function and export it. I usually prefer to do RFC. And then inside here, we are going to do the following. We're going to return a fragment, and then we're going to return a header element. And then inside the header element, we're going to have a div, and this div is going to be a link that is going to be coming from next link. So import this link. This is going to be linking to, so href /, meaning the homepage. And then inside here, we're going to add in an image. And NextJS has an image component, which is more preferable. So we're going to be using the image from NextJs. So import image from next image, and then the source for this is going to be this one. So let me just copy the image address, and I hope it works. And then we're going to give it a width of about, let me say 100, and a height of, let's say 50, just to see where it's going to be on the screen. And then when you're using the image component, you also need to have an alt attribute, and here we're going to say that this is the teachable. You know, let me copy the title here. Let me copy this title, because that is appropriate to have an alt attribute, to have this alt attribute on the logo of the company. And so let's save this, and then let's go inside our inside our index.js, and then let's render our header component, which is coming from add components header, and then save it, and let's see what we have on the screen, whether it's going to work. And there we go. So we have our image right here, our logo. And when I click it, obviously it goes back to the home page, but we're currently on the home page, and we're not going to be creating inner pages. So this is not really going to like work, but it's good that your logo always links back to the home page, or to the top of the page rather. And so let's continue. So below this div, we're going to create another div, and then this div is going to be our toggle here, our icon. And is this an image? Let me see. I don't know whether this is an image. Let me just check if I can get it. Let's see. Are you an image? No, it is just a button that is styled out to look like an image. So we can create a button like this. And should I? It's going to take some time, and I don't want the hassle of it, but I think it's been a while, so let's go ahead and create a button like that. So I'm going to create a button, and then this button is going to have 3 spans, so span times 3. And we're going to style this out in CSS. So for now, it's not going to display anything. But then what we can do is inside the header, we can give this a class name. And I can say display this as a flexbox with item center, and justify between. So it's going to bring the button here. And you know what, let me just add some text here that says menu, that you can see that the button is going to come here. And then I want to add a padding all around of 8, padding all around of 8 to push all these inwards. And then we're going to have a border on the bottom. I do not, I've just realized something. The border is not going to go to the end. Oh, it goes to the end. Okay, so border bottom, and then border dash black, which is going to make this black. Okay, this is how it looks. Probably reduce this to padding all around of 6. And then once we have that, so this is our menu button. We're going to deal with this later. Currently, we only have this. And what I want to do is I want to be able to display our navbar on bigger screens. So on bigger screens, we are going to be able to display this navbar. And so what we're going to do therefore is this. We're just going to use conditional rendering. And I just realized something. I don't have all these images. So let me go ahead and get the images before we continue. And so now I have all the images. So let's begin with our hero section. And let me close this tab, and then you can place this back to the right. And then now what we're going to do is this. We are going to do this. The header is going to remain like this for now, because we are probably going to deal with it last. And then we want to create this section first of all. So let's go ahead and we can close this file, and then this file as well. So inside our components, we're going to create a hero.js file. And then inside the hero.js, we're going to say RFC. And then inside here, we want to import this image. And so let's go ahead and say, let's import. We're going to be importing them. I've added an images folder. Sorry, I didn't mention that. But inside this images folder, I've added all the images that we're going to need on this particular landing page. So the current image that we want is the hero.avif. So we're going to say import hero from dot slash, not it is from coming from at, what is it, from dot slash, and let's say dot slash and say images / hero dot avif. And then we also want to import the image component from NextJS. So import image from next/image, and then inside here we want to return a section, and the first one is going to be an article, and the article is going to be this one on top. So it's going to have an h1 that says share what you know, and then it has a superscript that says trademark, so TM, and then below this h1 we have a paragraph that says this, so let's just copy it and paste it. And then below this paragraph we have a form that doesn't have an action, but it is an input with a type of email, and then the name is going to be email and the ID is going to be email. The placeholder text placeholder says your email here. I'm going to set it to required just to add a bit of HTML5 validation, and then I'm going to set autocomplete to off. Okay, because currently even if you click on this, it doesn't have autocomplete on anywhere, right? And then once you have this input, below this we're going to have a button with a type of submit, and the button says join for free. And then below this button we have some text, so the text is going to be small, that says this, so copy and paste it here. And then below this article we're going to add in our image, so add in an article, and then inside here we're going to be using the NextJs image component, and then inside here the source for this is going to be coming from hero that we've just imported on top. The width is going to be, let's say, what I want the width to be full. How do you add the width to be full? Width equals to auto and height equals to auto. Is that the way you add it in? We are going to find out in a moment. And then the alt attribute is going to be share what you know, which is the h1 here for this image. And then let's save it, and then let's go ahead and import it here. Let's render hero below this, and then you can save it, and then we should be able to see something on the screen. And by the way, I just realized probably here I should have imported this from art images. How do you import it? From art, yeah, art/images hero. So it says here that element type is invalid, expected a string for built-in components. Check the render method of hero, export default function hero. Am I importing it wrongly? Oh, you know what? This one shouldn't be in curly brackets. There we go. So where's our image? Our image is not sure. Okay, there we go. There is our image. So this is what we want, and then now we can begin to style this out. So inside this section, let's give it a class name of padding y of 10, and then padding x of 6, and 6 because on the header I also used 6, so I just want to keep everything uniform. And then let me see something. Okay, so I want this to be bigger, so inside this h1 give this a class name and say text for XL. How big is that? Okay, and then let's imagine bottom of 10 pushed away from the paragraph, and then we're going to go inside the paragraph, give this a class name, and we're going to say text small, margin bottom of 20 pushed away from the form and the input. And then we're going to go inside this input, we're going to give it a class name, and we're going to say width dash full, and then we're going to say what we want, a border on the bottom, and the border is going to be black in color. We want a padding on the y of 2 and a padding on the x of 4 to push this text inwards, and then the placeholder color is going to be black, so placeholder black to change the placeholder color. And then make this a block element. What happens? Nothing, so that I can add a margin bottom here of about 5 push away from the button. Let me see, let's just say 10 here. And then we don't want this outline, so outline dash none, and then yeah, there we go. So we can type in something inside here. Anything else we need to do? Nothing. And so we have that, and then let's tell out this submit button. So here let's give it a class name, and for this one let me see, I want this green color, right? So let me just get this green color, copy this. I have an extension here that is called color picker eyedropper, by the way, so that's what I'm using to get this color. So this color is this one, And then let me just go inside my global CSS. So globals.css. Let me add a custom class of green. And then here I'm going to add a background color of this one. And actually, you do not. Let me do this. Let me say background dash green. And then let me say text, a class of text dash green. And then for the text green, I'm going to give it the same color, except now this one is going to apply for the text, and then this one is going to apply for the background color. And you're going to see why I've done this in a moment. So here, let's give it a class name of text dash green. Oh, sorry, not text green, background green. So that our button is going to have the green background color. And then let's take this back here. Let's say padding Y of 2, padding X of 4, and actually the width should be full. And then the rounded dash large. Let's save it. What happens? So you're going to have this. Rounded large is too much, so let me say just rounded. Okay, we're going to have that, and then let's say margin bottom of about 5 pushed away from this text. And there we go. Let's make this text smaller. So give this a class name of text dash small. Oh, wait, let's say extra small, XS. Make it even smaller, and then probably make this a block element so that I can add a margin on the bottom of about 20 to push away from this image. What happens? Yeah, 20 or 10. Let's use 10 here. And then that is it. That is it for this one, but we just need to scale it up so that at around medium or large screens, then this is going to be bigger, because obviously we don't want this to happen. So therefore, we're going to do this. We're going to go back into the parent section, and we're going to say this, that display this is a grid with grid columns dash 1 with a gap of 5 or a gap of 6. And I just realized that because I've added in this here, then I don't need to add the margin bottom here, because that is going to add extra margins. So let me save this, and you can see that nothing changes on the screen except that this gap has reduced because we added a margin bottom of 10 here, but we're using a gap of 6. So let's add this back to 10 so that the gap can go back to the way it was. And then I want that on large screens, then the grid columns are going to be 2, so that this comes here. And actually, you know what? This is not correct, because on large screens, the image should be here. Yes. On large screens, the image should come first. So we're going to do this. We're going to say that for large screens, then display this as a flex box. Okay, so nothing really changes that much. But what we're going to say is for large screens, then the flex row is going to be reverse, so that now the image is going to come first. And we're going to have this. And then let me see, we need items to be center. So we need large screens items. Come on, large screens items dash center. And then large screens, let's say justify dash center. Is that really necessary? Okay. And then let's go into this first article, because what you'll notice is this image is just a bit bigger in terms of width than this one, meaning it doesn't take up exactly 50%. So I want to fix that. So here on the first article, I'm going to give it a class name, and I'm going to say that for large screens, then this should be a flex of 1, and then copy this article, the class name, and then paste it on the second article. And now you notice that now it takes up exactly 50% for each of them. And then once you have that, then I want to limit this, because I don't want this to go there to the end. So I want to add a max width. So inside the article, I'm going to add a max width of about 5XL and an MX of auto, which is going to center everything properly. And we're going to have that. 5XL is too small. Yes, let's use 6XL. 6XL. So right around there. And then let's increase the size of the H1 on large screens. So here, we'll say that for large screens, then the text should be 5XL. How big is that? That is still too small. Let's say for 2XL screens, then the text should be 6XL to make it even bigger. And there we go. And then once we have that, then I don't want this space. Is this a space? Yes, this is a space. So let's remove this space. Okay. And then let's make this bigger on large screens, because remember we made the text just a bit smaller here. So we're going to say that for large screens, then the margin, sorry, not margin bottom, but for large screens, the text is going to go back to the base of 16 pixels. And then what else? So here we need now this button to come here. Okay, and the way we do that is by going inside the form and giving this a class name and saying this. Actually, that is not going to work. That is not going to work because the flexbox is going to take this one as another item. So probably I should do this. I should grab the input and the button, place them inside an article, so that I can go inside the article and give this a class name of large screens, and I'm going to say flex on large screens, which is going to place it here. And then let's remove this. And then inside the input, I'm going to give this and say for large screens, the flex should be 2, meaning it's going to take up a wider. Does that work? Why doesn't that work? Flex 2, flex 1. Why doesn't it work? Let me figure it out. Let me do the, oh, you know what? Let's say that for large screens here, the flex, the width should be auto. There we go. And then let me go here and say for large screens, then the flex should be 2. Is there a class of flex 2? There's no class of flex 2. There's only flex 1. What does that do? Flex 1. Okay, flex 1 fixes it. And then we need to add in this gap. So let's go back inside the article. Let's say that for large screens, then the gap is going to be 8, which is going to add in this gap. Okay, fantastic. Anything else? We don't need this. This is already here. And then what we need to do now is just create the next section. Okay, let's increase this gap. So back inside the section right here, we're going to say that for large screens, then the gap is going to be 32. Make it insanely big. Okay, that's too much. Let's say 24. Let's have it at that. Let's work with 24. Yeah, 24 looks nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our next section. And this one, I'm going to call this section pottery because this image is called pottery. So we're going to create a component here that is called pottery.js. And by the way, because you're using NextJs, you can have this as small letters. But what you need to do is when you're creating your component, always convert this to a capital letter so that you don't have issues. So pottery, and we're going to return a fragment. Let me make this full screen. And then inside here, we want to use an h2, which is going to be this one. So copy this. We're going to return an h2. And you know what, let me return a div so that the structure can be much better. And then this h2 is not completely white, so let's go and get the correct color. So right around this one, copy, and then inside this h2 we're going to give it a custom style, and we're going to say that the color for this is going to be this one that we've just copied. And then we're going to give this a class name, and we're going to say text for XL, and then for large screens text -5XL, and then for 2XL screens we're going to say text -6XL. And then we're going to go inside this div, give this a class name, and this div has a custom background color. Wait a minute, what am I doing? This div is going to have a style, and we're going to get this background color. So copy this, and we're going to say background color, and we're going to set it to this. And then we're going to say this because we want to be able to limit the text. We don't want it to go all the way to the end. So I'm going to grab this h2, going to cut it out, and I'm going to place it inside an article with a class of max width -6XL and then a class of mxauto. And then inside here we're going to paste in this, and let's save it, and let's go back inside index.js. Let's render out our component that is called pottery, and then let's see what you have on the screen. We should have this. I mixed up the text. Did I mix up the styles? The color for this is going to be this. Oh wait, I did copy this one. That is the one that is wrong. So let's grab this again, this color, copy, and then paste it here. And then let's see. There we go. And then once you have that, consider this is what we have. So what we need to do is we need to increase the line height for this heading, and then we need to play around with these paddings massively. And then for this one, this is actually a video, so when you click on it, it plays a video. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the background image only because I looked for this video and I don't have access to this video, so I don't want to also like violate some things in terms of copyright or something if there are things like that anyway. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Therefore, let's place this to the right so that you can see how it looks on mobile. So on mobile, you can see that this overlaps just a bit. Say it overlaps just a bit. We're going to do that. So let's place this to the left. And then inside this div, let's add in a custom class name here. And let's give it a padding on the x of 6 to push it inwards just a bit so that this doesn't go all the way to the end. And then on the h2, let's add in a custom line height. And let me say 1.8 to just separate it out a bit. That is too much. 1.5, 1.3. No, 1.4. Let's use 1.4. Okay, and then we're going to do this inside, where is it? Inside this div, we're going to give it a padding on the y of 32. Or you know what, let me say padding top of 32 and then padding bottom of maybe 16. And the reason why I'm doing this is because the padding on the bottom, if you look at this, the padding on the bottom here is lesser than the padding on the top. I mean, currently you can't really see it on mobile screens, but on large screens, that's when you can really see it. Padding on the top and then padding on the bottom. So we're going to have that. And then what we need to do is we need to remove this padding bottom. Remember, we added padding bottom on the hero. We added a padding Y, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this padding Y, and we're going to say that this is only going to be applied to padding top, so that this is going to be removed. And then we're going to go inside this image. Where are you? Inside this article. And we're going to say this. We're going to say that for, sorry, not for large screens, but we're going to say that add a minus margin on the bottom of about 5, which is going to bring the image here. See that? Looking nice, and it doesn't affect anything on top. And then on large screens, then we're going to increase the margin bottom, the minus margin bottom, so that this moves downwards even more. Let me just check by how much, by about 20. So here you're going to see that on large screens, then minus margin bottom of 20, which is going to bring it even downwards more. Look at that, looking nice. And then let's increase the padding on the top. So let's go back into pottery, and then here we're going to see that for large screens, then the padding top should be 40, just to increase it a bit more, so that we're going to have this. Look at that, looking nice. And then once we have that, then we need to add in this image. And so for the image, we're going to do this. We're going to import the image. So let me say import pottery from art/images/pottery. Is it a PNG image or what? Or AVIF? Let me see. Pottery.avif. So avif. And then once you have that, then we're going to go below this article. Sorry, not below the article. I want the image to be within the max width. So this structure is just a bit different. So let's restructure once again. So I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to change this into a div, and then I'm going to change this into a section, so that I can go inside this div and place it inside an article. I can paste in this h2 inside the article, and then below this h2, I'm going to have the image component. So image coming from next image, always make sure that you import it on top. So import image from next image. The source for this is going to be the pottery image that we've just imported. The width is going to be auto. The height is going to be auto as well. And then the alt attribute is just going to say teachable video. Let's just say teachable online courses promo video. Let's call it promo video. And then let's save this, and then let's see what you have on the screen once it loads in. And we're going to have this. There we go. So we have this image. Let's add in a margin bottom on the h2. Let's go inside the h2 here. Let's say margin bottom of 10. How does it look on large screens? Large screens it's even bigger. So large screens margin bottom of 20. Separate it out even further. and we're going to have that. Now I'm not going to add in this button because I don't want this to be a video. I mean, it's not even a video. And then I'm also not going to add in this text because this text is linking to a model. So when you click on it, then it opens up this. You can try to add this model if you want. It is a pretty simple process. And that is this section complete. Okay. So now let's go ahead and create this section, which I called join. I called this image join. So let's go ahead and create this section. So create another component that is called join.js. And then let's say RFC, and then change this into capital J join. And then inside here, let's return a fragment and then a section. And then this section is going to be an article. And the first article is going to be our image component. And the image is going to be this one. So the source for this image, we're going to import it. We're going to call it join. The width, once again, is going to be auto. The height is going to be auto. And the alt attribute is going to be join teachable. And then let's go ahead and import this image. So import join from art/components/join.avif. I think that is the correct one, this one. So this image here. And then below this article, we're going to have another article, which is going to be an h2 that says this. Copy and paste. And then below this h2, we're going to have a button that says view features, and we're going to have that. So let's go ahead and save this, and then inside our index.js, let's run that join. So join, which is coming from art components, and save it, and we should be able to see something here. So it says, oh, wait a minute, this is not, sorry about that, this is not component, this is images. There we go, and we should be able to see this on the screen. So we have this for desktop screens. Obviously, we're going to begin with the mobile version. So let's begin to style this out. So inside the section, let's have a class name of padding on the x of 6, padding on the y of 10, and then for large screens, padding on the y of 20. And there's a lot of noise coming from outside. If you can hear it, I apologize. So this is what it looks like. Let's begin to style this out. So inside this article, let's wait a minute, not even inside the article, just inside the section. Let's transform this into a grid with grid columns 1 with a gap of 10 to separate it out from this text. And then inside the h2, let's give this a class name. And then let's say text-4xl, and then for large screens, text-5xl, and then margin bottom of 10 to push it away from the button. And then inside this button, we're going to give it a custom style. And the h2 also has a custom style. I just remembered. Yeah, this is green. It is like a dark green. So let's get this color. Let me see if I can get it. So this one, copy, and then here let's give it a color of this, and then let's do the same thing for the h2. So copy this part and paste it here, and that should transform the h2 color. There we go. And then what we want for this button is we want to add a custom class name that is going to say what, actually that's not what I want to do. I want to do it here. So I want to add a border bottom border bottom width is going to be 2. Border bottom style is going to be solid, and then border bottom color is going to be this very same color. Oops, this one. Copy and paste it here. So that now we're going to have this one on the bottom. And then on large screens, we want this to display as a grid. So let's go back inside the section here, and let's say that for large screens, then grid columns 2, which is going to bring this here. And then for large screens, we're going to say items-center, which is going to bring this to the bottom. Not to the bottom really, but to the center. And then we want this to no longer go all the way to the end. So here we're going to give it a max width of 6xl and an mx of auto, which is going to limit it. And we're going to have that. Would you look at that? Looking nice. Why is this pushed inwards? Why is it pushed inwards? Is it because of item center? I think it's because of item center. And then once we have that, then we can go ahead and create these 3 articles. And for this one, I'm just going to create it inside this very same component. So below, let me go below this section. We're going to create another section, which is going to be 3 articles. So article times 3. And then the way it's structured is we have a number here. So let me have it as a span. So a span element that is going to be a number. Below this, we're going to have an h3 that says this. Copy and paste. And then below this should be an h3. And then below this, we have a paragraph that says this. So copy and paste it here. And then we're going to do the same thing for these other articles. So actually, let me just copy these articles 2 more times. Change this to 2. Change this to 3. And then you can copy this for the heading. And then this for the text. So copy and paste. And then this is going to be the 3rd heading. So here. And then this for the text. So copy and paste it here. And there we go. So let's save it and let's see what's going to appear. And it appears here. So let's test this out. So back on top. So this section, we're going to copy, let's copy some of these classes, and actually not, probably even all of them. So copy these and paste them here. The only difference is that now the 2 columns here are going to begin for medium screens. And then we don't want the item center. So we can remove this. And then we're going to say that for large screens, then the grid columns are going to be 3. So grid columns 3. And we're going to bring it here. Okay, that looks nice. And then let's style out the h3. Give this a class name of, let's say, what? Text-3xl. Margin bottom of 4. Pushed away from this. And then we need, what do we need? We need this to be the same color as this one. So let me grab the color on top. So this color here, copy and paste it on this h3 and save it, and it should change to green. There we go. And then we still need this color on the span. So let's paste it on the span as well. And then let's give the span a custom class name here. So class name, we're going to say text-4xl. Okay. Make it bigger, and then let's say font-bold. There we go. And then probably I should make this a block element because I want to be able to add a margin bottom of about 4 so that it pushes away from this one. And then I'm also going to add a padding bottom of 4. And the reason I'm adding a padding bottom, not padding all around, padding bottom, so that when we add the border bottom, it's not going to be on the number. So the border bottom, we added it here. So let me copy these styles, copy and paste them here, so that we don't have to keep doing the same thing. And you can see that now the border bottom is here. If I did not have the padding bottom of 4, look at what the border would be. It would be here. Okay, so add a padding bottom of 4 to add padding on the inside of this element so that the border moves downwards. And then let's see, we also need the text to be green in color. I should probably add in this green color as a class name. Wait a minute, I did add it in as a class name. I called it text green. Why? Okay, so I've been doing this redundantly. Oh well, I've already done it, so let's just continue. So for the text, for this paragraph, we're going to give it a class name, and we're going to say text green. And it's going to change this. Wait, that is not the correct green color. It's not the correct one. Let me call this a class of dark green. And then let me copy this part so that I can go into my CSS and add a class of dark dash green, and then change the color into this, so that now when I have a class of dark green here, it's going to change this one. Okay, and then all you need to do is just copy these classes here on the 2nd and the 3rd one. So let me make this full screen. We need these class names on the span. So this is the span here and the span here. Let me separate up these articles. And then on the h3 we need this one, so copy on the h3 here and on the h3 here, And then on the paragraph, we need this one. So copy and paste it here and paste it here, and that should apply. And we're going to have that. There we go. So on small screens, this is how it looks. You can see that. So 1, 2, 3, and then we have this on mobile screens, and it looks nice. Okay. So that is that section complete. And then next, we're going to create this tab section. And for this tab sections, we're going to create an array of objects just to make it easier. So I'm going to create a new component that is called tabs.js. And then inside tabs.js, I'm going to say RFC, but I want to create an array of objects. So I'm going to call this const data. And I'm going to call this, we're going to need an image, which is going to come from /images /tab-1 dot avif. Is it avif or is it what? tab1 avif. Okay. And then inside here, we need a description. Let me check, how does it look? Okay, so we need this description or the quote. Let me call it the quote. And we're going to have this. So copy this inside here. And then below this, we're going to have, and notice that this is a quote and then another quote. Okay, so take note of that. And then we're going to have the title or the person, really, depending on how you want it. Wait a minute. This is the second image. I shouldn't have done that. So copy this and paste it here. But now this is the second image, so we need to add this on top. So copy it 2 more times. And then on the top one, this is tab 1, this should be tab 2. So on the top one, we need this quote instead. So this one, paste it here. And then we need this one to be the title. So copy and paste it here. And then on the third one, we need this one. So copy and paste it here. Change this to tab 3. And we need this name for the title. So copy and paste it here. And then inside here, let's begin to add in our state. So let's go ahead and import use state from React. And then what we're going to do is below this, we're going to set up our state values. So I'm going to call this one items, or probably I should call it tabs. Is it? Yeah, let me call it tabs. Or change this to capital T, remember, because it's a React component. And then use state, by default, we're going to pass in the data that we've just created. And then we're going to have another state value that is called value and set value. And by default, it's going to be 0, meaning only show the first item. And then inside here, we're going to have this. We want to do what? We want to destructure this one. We want to destructure the quote and this one and the image from here. So what we need to do is this. Let's say const, and then let's destructure the what? The image, the quote, and the title. And then this is going to be equal to tabs depending on the value that we currently have. And then we're going to return a section with a class of background-green to add in this green background. And then we're also going to have a padding y of 20. We're not padding y of 20, 24. And then for large screens, we're going to have a padding y of 32. And then let's also have a padding on the x of 6. Padding on the x. And then inside here, we're going to have a div with a class of max width -6xl with an mx of auto, which is going to limit everything. And then now inside here, we're going to have an article, and we're going to have 2 articles. So this one is going to be, the first article is going to be this part. And then the second article is going to be the image, as well as these 3 icons that we have. And so once you do that, then we're going to do the following. So for the first one, we just need an h4 that says not even an h4, this is a paragraph, in my own words. And then we're going to have a body on the top. And then below this paragraph, we're going to have another paragraph that is going to say the quote that we've just destructured. And then below this paragraph, we're going to have probably an heading 4 that says the title. And then we're going to create the other article. And then this one, we're going to have our image inside here. The source for this image is going to be the image that we've destructured. the height is going to be auto, the width is going to be auto, and then the alt attribute is just going to say the title of the image. And then let's see, we need to add in these three circles or whatever. And the way we do that is by mapping over the number of items that we have. So here we're going to return a UL, and then inside this UL we're going to say items dot map. Really, items dot map, I think that's what I call it here. Oh, I call it tabs, not items. So tabs dot map, and then for every tab that we get back, I also want to get back the index of the tab. And then inside here we're going to return a list item with the key of with the key of index. And then inside here we're going to style it out to look like this. So let me see, we are going to say, give this a class name, and actually not, we're going to style this in a few. Let's just save it so that we can break our application, and it's going to break. Just wait for a moment. So we're going to render tabs here. Make sure you import it on the top here. When I render it, then it breaks. See that? Because failed to construct image. Now the reason why it breaks is because we need these images to be rendered from the public folder. So we're going to grab these three images and cut them out, and then inside the public folder we're going to create a new folder called images, and then inside here we're going to paste in our images. And then let's save it, let's reload, let's see what happens. And you can see that now it says image is not defined. So back inside our tabs, close these files. So back inside our tabs, we need to import image. So control spacebar, and then just import this second one from next image and save it. And let's see. So now it says image with this one has an invalid width property. What was I using for the other widths anyway? I think I used auto for the other as well. Let me check. Where's the image? Auto. Then why is this now a problem? Height auto. Let me just give it a fixed height of like 100 and a width of 100 to see what happens. Let it reload now, and we have this one. So I mean this is too small, right? So let me see, I can give this a class name and say width of full. What happens? Okay, that happens. So let's have the class name of width full here, and then let's place this to the right, and let's place this to the left. And see, the reason why it's blurry, wait, does this image even exist here? Okay, I think the reason why it's blurry is because the height is too small and the width is too small. So let's make this 500, and let's make this 500 as well. Yeah, make it a bit clearer. There we go. And you know what, let me make this even 700 or something, and 700 here as well. Yeah, just to make it much more clearer. And then let me see, let's see, we need, on mobile we need this to be on top. So we need this to be on top on mobile, and then on large screens they come to the side. Okay, we're just going to do a bit of restructuring, no worries. But I'm seeing this image is not the correct one. So not the image, but the background color is not the correct one. So let's add in, I want the dark green here. So let me add in another class called dark-bg-green, and then I can add in the background color to be #1b, this one. Copy and paste it here, so that now I can use the dark-bg green here. So dark-bg-green, and what? Dark-bg green. Is that not the correct class? Where is it? Dark-bg green. What? Class name dark-bg green. Am I typing this wrongly? Dark-bg green. Paste it here. Why isn't that reloading? Why are you not reloading? What? Am I with max with dash 6xl? Am I what am I doing here? Let's say BG red 500. What? What am I doing wrong here? Class name dark BG green dark, and then background color. Oh wait, this should not have quotes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, dark BG green. So dark dash BG dash green. There we go. And then let's see, this text is going to be, should I just place it as white? Let me go ahead and say inside this section text white, make everything white. And then let's say in my onwards here, give this a class name. Let's make it a flex box. So flex, and then items center and justify center. Save it. And then let's say margin bottom of 10, and then border dash top dash 8, make it very thick. Okay, that's too much. Border 8 dash what? Border 8, like let's say it's only 4, that is the next one. And then what? I want this one to be like, I don't want the border to go down to the end. First of all, let's add a padding top of about 2 to push the weight downwards just a bit. And then let's grab this, let's place it inside another article so that I can copy this and paste it here, close it out, and then remove these classes from here. What happens? There we go. And then we can now add the margin bottom here as well. Okay, looking nice. And then let's see what we have. Come on. Oh, and I just realized that this text is in the font of a heading. So instead of this being a text like we have placed it here, let's change it into a heading 3, give it a class name of, let's say, text dash 4xl. And then let's see, we need the text to be centered, so text dash center. And then margin bottom, let's say margin bottom of 8 to push away from the title. And then now I can change this to be a paragraph. And then inside this paragraph, give this a class name of, let's say, text dash center. Okay. And then now let me see, we don't need to do anything else here except add a gap. So let's go back inside the parent here. Inside this parent div, we're going to give this a class of grid, and grid columns 1 with a gap of 8 or a gap of 10. There we go. And then what we need to do is we need to add in the 3 list items here. So this UL, copy this, and then we're going to go above, where should we place it? Oh, this structure, let's place it below this one. Let's save it, add a space. And then what we need to do is we need to style up these class names. So I want these class names to be dynamic. So place in your curly brackets and then your backticks. And then I'm going to say give it a width of 1 and a height of 1 with a BG of white, with a BG opacity of 75. Where does that appear? It appears here. And width of 1 is too small. Let's say width of 3 and height of 3. What happens? Just a bit bigger. And then let's say rounded dash full to make them into circles. And then inside this UL, let's give it a class name. And let's say margin bottom of 10. And then display it as a flex box with items center and justify center, which is going to bring them to the center. And then add a gap of 4 to separate them out. So gap of 4 is too small. Let's say gap of 8. And then what we're going to do is we want to check, we're going to add in a check here, and we're going to say that when the value is equal to the index, when this is true, we want the BG opacity to be 100, meaning we want it to go back to 100% opacity. Notice how now this one is white. Okay, let's make this one to be less opaque. So about 40, so that this can be more prominent. Wait. BG opacity 100. Does this not reset it? bg red 500. Oh, that doesn't reset it. What if I change this to the negative? Oh wait, it doesn't. When the value, what are we having? When the value is equal to the index. Let me change this to 1. Let's see whether it's going to change. So say it changes, right? And then I change it to 2, it also changes. Okay, let's take it back to 0, and then let's have the on click. Let's deal with the on click first of all. So inside the list item, I'm going to say that on click, then set the value into the index of the item that we've clicked on. And then let's have a cursor of pointer here. So cursor dash pointer, so that when I click on this, it changes to the next one, and when I click on this, it changes to the next one. So let's deal with this. Why doesn't it show? When the value equals to index is true, then bg opacity 100. Let's see, I can't seem to figure this out. As I'm thinking about it, let's structure this for large screens. So we're going to go here, and we're going to say that for large screens, then the grid columns are going to be 2, which is going to bring this here and here. And then for large screens, I'm going to say items dash center, bring this downwards a bit. And then for large screens, I don't want this to be here, I want it to be here instead. So for large screens, I'm going to say this. We're going to go here, we'll say that for large screens, then display this as hidden, which is going to make this disappear. And then we're going to copy this UL, and then we're going to paste it here on this UL. So paste it in, and then we're going to remove this class. Actually, not remove it, but we're going to display it as hidden by default. And then on large screens, then we're going to display it as a block element. You can see that now it has issues here. So we're going to remove, actually we're going to remove all these classes up to here, remove them. And then on large screens, I wanted to display as a flex box. And then on large screens, we're going to say flex dash column. And then for large screens, we're going to say, give it a gap of 8. And it should appear somewhere, it should appear here. And then what we want to do is this article, or rather this image and this UL should be displaying side by side. So I want this to come here. So we're going to go inside this article, and we're going to give it a class name. And I'm going to say that for large screens, then display this as a flexbox, which is going to bring this here. Okay. And then let me see where it is actually. It is on the center. So we're going to say that for large screens, then items dash center. And then for large screens, we're going to have a gap of 16 to separate it out. And it's going to be there. Would you look at that? And then let's also increase this gap on large screens. So this gap. So go back into the parent section, into this parent div. And we're going to say that for large screens, then the gap is going to be 16. Increase this just a bit. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, probably we should add a line height for this heading. Let's add a line height, and it should be here. So let's add it a style that says line height 1.4. I know Tailwind has a class for line height, but I just like adding it in manually. So we're going to have that. Okay, now let's figure out why this is not working, because I want that whichever we click on is going to be white, just like this one. See this? I want that whichever we click on is white. So let's reduce the opacity for this one. For the UL here, let's reduce the opacity to about 25 or maybe 15. Does 15 exist? Okay, 15 doesn't exist. Let me see. 10. Okay. So why doesn't this work? Tabs list item. When the value is equal to index, then the BG opacity should be 100. Why doesn't it work? Maybe if I cut out these classes and then paste them at the end of this. What is the logic? When the value, let's first undo. Let's undo. So when the value is equal to the index of the item that you click on, when it evaluates to true, then bg opacity 100. Let me remove opacity from here. Probably opacity doesn't evaluate, but let me say bg red 500 here, and then let me say what, let's save it, bg white, but you can see it's still bg white for everything. It's still white in color for everything. Why? I was trying to avoid to add custom classes. I know if I add a custom class, it's going to evaluate correctly, but I don't want to add a custom class. Actually, not. Let me just try it out first of all. Let's say, let's create a class of tabs, and then let's copy these classes, and let's say at apply, so tailwind at apply, so that when I go here and add in a class of tabs, then nothing changes. But if I remove it, then we're not going to be able to see it. So I'll just transfer the classes into CSS, and then let's add a class of active. And for the class of active, we want the bg red 500, and here let's add the class of active that we're going to create. So let's say at apply bg red 500, and we're saying that when the value is equal to the index evaluates to true, then we want the class of active to apply. So you see, I don't know why is it something with tailwind or what? So let's say this is going to be bg opacity 100, and then here we're going to say bg opacity dash 10, and see now that applies. I don't know why it does that, but it does that. Okay, so we're going to have that, and then what we need to do now, what we need to do is we need to apply these tiles. So these tiles, copy, and we need to apply them on the upper URL that we had, this one, so that it actually works on mobile as well. Copy, and then we can test it out. So right around here you can see that it works correctly. Okay, looking fantastic. And then let's go ahead and create the next section, which is this one that I'm going to call establish. So component establish, establish.js, and then let's say rfc, let's import image. We're going to import image from next image, and then we're also going to import establish, which is the name of the image that I've called it, from art/components /establish.avif, and then inside here we're going to return a section, and then this section has a slight background color, so let me grab it. So this one, copy, and we're going to say return a section, and then here we're going to give it a style, and we're going to say background color and set it to this, and then we're going to do this, give it a class name, and we're going to say padding y of 20, yes. Then for large screens, padding y of 24, and then inside here we're going to have a div with the class of max width dash 6xl with the class of mx auto to center everything properly. And then let's also remember to add a padding on the x of 8 so that on mobile screens it doesn't push all the way to the end. And then we're going to have two articles. So article 1 is going to be an h2 that says this, copy and paste. And actually not this is not the same as the h2s like this one, the font. Let's just keep using h2s because we've been using them. And then here let's have this, copy and paste it here. And then for this button, let me remember where we created this button. It was on the section that is called join. So I'm going to copy the button in the join component. So inside the join component, we have a button somewhere. We have this button. So copy this button, and then here we're going to paste in that button. We're only going to change the text to say register for free, register for free. And then we're going to add in this image. So below this article, we're going to have another article. We're going to use the image component. The source for this is going to be the establish that we have imported, and then the width is going to be auto, the height is going to be auto, and then the alt attribute is going to say establish, and then close it out. And then let's save this. Let's go ahead and render it. So we can close this one. Let's go ahead and render establish. So establish, is it somewhere? Oh, you know what, this should be capital. Yeah, see that it captures the error. So establish from component establish. Save it, and we should be able to see it somewhere here. It says this should be images. Why do I keep doing importing this from components? Images, and it should be right here. If it look, there we go. So this is our component, and then we're going to style this out. And so let's go ahead and begin to style this out. And let me just remember the class that I have. I want the class called dark green for the text. So inside the establish, let's go ahead and say this. Inside the h2, let's, inside the article even, give it a class name called dark green for the text. And then inside the h2, let's give it a class name. Let's say text-4xl, and then for large screens, text-5xl, and then margin bottom of 10. And then let's get to this paragraph, give this a class name, and say margin bottom of 10. And then inside this div, let's convert it into a grid with grid columns -1, and then items -center, and then gap -10. And then for large screens, we're going to say grid columns 2. And then for large screens, we're going to say gap of 16. And it's going to bring it here. Look at that. And then let's limit everything. So max with -6xl. Why do I keep mistyping that? And we're going to have that. Okay. Would you look at that? Wait, is this here or here? Oh, okay. So it's here. And then next one is going to be the opposite. So we're just going to copy this component, and we're going to do the opposite of it here for this next one. And we're going to change the colors as well. So let me go ahead and do this. Let's copy this entire section. Copy. And then we're going to create a component that is called award. So component award, the JS, let's say RFC, and then change this to capital A. And then here we're going to return this. Let's return a fragment first of all. A fragment. Come on. And then inside here, let's paste this in. And then what we're going to do is we need to change this image into an image that is called award. And on top, let's also import image. Come on, import image from next image. And then let's also import the award image that we want, that comes from art/images/award.avif. And then let's go ahead and change this text. So change this text. For the h2, it's going to be this one. We don't have a paragraph here, and we have a button that says contact us, but the button color is different. So let me go ahead and check this. So we need this text green for the button color, is it? No, is that the correct one actually? Text green. Let's try it out. Let's say that here we need this text to be green, and then we want what? We want the border style. We want this to be changed. So let me just go ahead and copy this copy this color, paste it here and here, and let me see, award winning, and then this says contact us. So contact us, and then let's save it. Let's go inside index.js. Let's render award here, award from components award, and then let's see what we have. And we have this is not the correct color. Okay, and then we need this image to come first. So let's go ahead and grab this article, cut it out, and paste it above this article. So above this one. Okay, so that the image comes first, and then we need to change this background color. So the background color is this dark green. I have that class, right? Yes, dark BG green. So here, the background color, we're going to add in dark-bg-green, and then we're going to remove this, and it should apply here. Okay, and then let's change this color. What color is this? I thought I had it in, but I don't. So the color should be this one. Copy, and then let's paste it where? Probably inside here as a style. So style is equal to color, and then set it to this, and it should apply. There we go. And then do the same thing for the button. So copy this, paste it here, and paste it here for the button. There we go, looking nice. And then let's adjust the line height for the H2. So line height, change this to 1.4, increase it just a bit. Okay, that's too small. 1.5, 1.6. Oh, wait a minute, what am I doing? This shouldn't be here. This should be on the H2. So style is equal to, then add the same, change it back to 1.4. And there we go, that 1.3, 1.2. Much better, much better. And then we are going to go to this section next. So share what you know, sign up for free. This is a pretty easy section to do. So I'm going to call this section CTA. So let's create a new component called CTA.js. Let's say RFC, and then we want to return a section. And this section should have a class. Let me check. We have that color here. So background green. So background that's green, and then padding Y of 20, and then for large screens, then padding Y of 24, and then padding X of 8 all around. And then inside here, we want to deal with the class of max width -6XL and MX auto, though this is quite unnecessary because this is only text and it doesn't go all the way to the end. And then let's copy this, let's place it inside an H2. It says this, and then let's add in a line break here so that it breaks. And for this H2, let's give it a class name. We're going to say text-4XL. For large screens, text-5XL. For 2XL screens, then text-6XL, and then margin bottom of 10. And then below this H2, we're going to have a button in the class of BG black, and text-white, and padding Y of 3, and padding X of 6, and rounded. And on hover, we want just a slight opacity dash like what, 75. And then let's add a transition dash all with a duration of 150, and this is emmet, so that when I do all this and I press enter, it creates a button in all those classes. And the button is going to say join for free. Is it? Oh, it's small, so join for free. Save it, and then let's try to render it. So inside, where is it? Inside our index.js, let's render CTA. This is not capital, this one, CTA, and then let's go ahead and render it CTA, and then we should have something on the screen right there. And then we just need this to move to the center. So inside CTA, let's go ahead and say text center here, which is going to move everything to the center. Nice, nice, nice. And then finally we have the footer, which is the last one. So for the footer, let me see, how does it look? Okay, so for the footer, we have this one and this one as one element, and then we have our links and then our social media on the bottom. So let's structure it out first of all. So inside components, let's create a new one that is called footer.js, and then let's say RFC, change this into capital footer, and then let's return a fragment, and then let's return a footer element. And then inside here, we're going to have a div, and then inside this div, we're going to have an image. The source for this image, I don't know, did I download this image? Oh yes, I did. I called it logo or logo light. Let me just confirm. What did I call it? Logo.svg, that's what I call it. And then the width for this is going to be, let's say, width of 80, and the height is going to be 80 as well. And then the source, so not the source, but the alt attribute is going to say teachable. And then let's close it out, and then let's remember to import the image. Oops, import the image, and then let's also import the logo from @/images/logo.svg. And then below this image, we're going to have a paragraph that says this. So copy and paste it here. And then now below this div, we're going to have a div. And then this div is going to have an article. The article is going to have an h4, no, not even an h4, but just a paragraph that says explore. And then inside here, we're going to have a UL with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, li times 6. And this first one says features. The second one says pricing. And then let's say examples. And then let's say newsletter, and then community, and then podcast. And then let's do the same thing. So copy this 1 and 2. So this second one says company, and then this other one says about, and then careers, and then blog, and then press, and then partners, and then we can remove this. And then we have support. So support, this one says knowledge base, and then contact support, contact support. This one says contact sales. This one says privacy policy. This one says terms of use. This one says content guidelines. And then we need 4 more. So this one says house rules. This one says cookie policy. And then it says ethics line. Oops. And then finally it says accessibility. Oops. Accessibility. Okay. Let's see. So below this div now we want what? Probably below the footer, I want another div. And then this div is going to be a UL with how many list items? 1, 2, 3, 7 of them. So li times 7. And then each of them is going to be an image. And we want this to be these images. And then below this UL, we're going to have a paragraph that says the copyright. So this one, copy and paste it here. And then let's begin to add in these images. And you know, probably let me do one first of all, because then it's going to be easier to paste in the others. So the source for this image is going to be YouTube, which we're going to import. The width is going to be 50. The height is going to be 50. And the alt attribute is just going to say YouTube. And then let's copy this. So copy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one says Facebook. The text here should say Facebook. This one says Pinterest. This one should say Pinterest. And then we have Instagram. And then this one says Instagram. And then this one says Twitter. The text says Twitter. And then this says LinkedIn. The text should say LinkedIn. And then this one says TikTok. And then the text should say TikTok. Okay, that was quite a bit of typing. So let's save this and then let's go ahead and render it inside our index.js. So below this, let's render the footer. And we should have components footer. So that when you take a look, then we should be able to see our footer somewhere. Oh, wait a minute, we haven't imported the images. Oh my God. So let's say import Facebook from @images/facebook.svg, and then copy this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then change this to what? YouTube. Change this to YouTube. and then what we have, Pinterest, and then we have Instagram, and then we have Twitter, and then we have LinkedIn, and then we have TikTok, and then save it. And let's see, it says images mod. Oh, wait a minute. This should be /images. So /images ///////// and there we go. Reload it, and we should have something on the screen. Let's see. And we have all that. Okay. And so what we need to do now is just style this out. The first thing that we need to do is get this background color. So the background color is this one. Let's go ahead into our footer. Let's give it a style here, and we're going to say give it a background color and give it a color of this. There we go. And then we're going to do the same thing for the div that is outside the footer. So here we're going to paste this in, and we're going to have that. Okay, 50 is a bit too big, so let's just select this one and say Control D, and number of times of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 13. Let's change this to 30. How big is that? Yeah, let's work with 30, or maybe 35. Let's work with 35. And then let's begin to now style this out. And I've just realized that we're going to have to restructure this a bit. So because I want to have a max width on the footer as well, but if I go and add a max width on the footer here plus name of max width -6xl, what you notice is that the background color cuts out here at the max width. So we need to restructure. So everything inside the footer all the way up to here, cut it out, and then place it inside another div with a class of max width -6xl with an mx of auto, and then padding y of 20, and then for large screens we're going to say padding y of 24, and then let's also have a padding on the x of 8, and then we can paste in the rest of that, so that now the text is limited but the background color persists all the way to the end. And we're going to do the same thing for this one. So let's begin to structure this. So a width of 8 is a bit too small. Let's say 150. The height can remain. The height, maybe increase it to 100. Really barely even visible. I need this to be bigger, but for mobile screens, I think it's a bit too small, right? It's a bit small rather. Yeah, I think we can work with this for mobile. And then let's place this here. Inside this image, let's give it a class name. Let's say margin bottom of 10, push away from the paragraph. And then let's go inside this div, give it a class name of text white to change everything inside here to white. And then inside this paragraph, or rather inside this div, let's give it a class name. And let's say margin top of 20 to push away from this part. And then for the paragraph here, let's say class name margin bottom of 6, and perhaps text dash large, make it just a bit bigger, and font bold. Okay, I know the font here is not bolded, or that maybe it is. I mean, it's not as bold as ours anyway. So let's copy the class names for this paragraph. Let's paste them here, and then let's paste them here. And then inside this UL, what we want to do is change this into a flex box. So class name flex and flex column, and then add a gap of about 3 to separate out the links. There we go. And then we're going to copy this and paste it on this UL and paste it on this UL. And then what we're going to do is for this second article, so this one in the middle, I want to add a margin on the top and on the bottom so that it separates out. See how it's a bit too close? So give it a class name of margin y of about 8. Separate out from the top and from the bottom as well so that you can see this. Fantastic. And then what I want to do is inside this div that has the articles with the ULs, I want this div to be a flex box so that it's going to break a bit. And then I'm going to say flex wrap. And then let's say justify evenly. No, I don't want that. Instead of using flex, let's use grid. And now that I'm using grid, then this is obsolete, because now I can add a grid gap. So grid columns 2 to begin with, and then let's add a gap of about 8 to separate it out from here. There we go. Maybe even 10, so that we have that. And then what we're going to do is that for medium screens, then the grid columns are going to be 3. You know, let me just say that for large screens, because we've been using large screens all around. And so we're going to have that. So right at around here, you can see that now it is 3 grids. And then what we need to do is we want this to come here, so that this displays as a grid, but we also want it to be part of this grid. So what we're going to do is inside the div, inside this div, right below the footer, then we're going to transform this into a grid. And we're going to say, actually, let me say that for large screens, this is a grid. And then for large screens, then grid columns -2, which is going to bring this here and then bring this here. And we're going to have that. And then let me see, wait, what is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? Div margin bottom 10, margin top 20. Okay, here. So we're going to say that for large screens, then the margin top is going to be 0. Really? Margin top 0, which is going to bring this back here. There we go. And then let's go back inside this div and say that for large screens, then the gap is going to be 16 to increase this gap here. Fantastic. And then what I need to do now is deal with this. So how does it look? This is how it looks on desktop, but on mobile the images come first. So what I'm going to do here is that on this div, we're going to grab this URL once again up to this paragraph, and then we're going to create a div with a class of max width -6xl, with a class of mx auto, with a class of padding auto, with a class of padding s of 8, of 6, sorry, of 6, and a class of padding y of 10. And we're going to have that, so that this happens, it doesn't push all the way to the end. And then change this text into white. So class name text-white and text-small, make it smaller. And then we're going to be inside this parent div, so this one, and then we're going to transform this into a flex box, and then we're going to say flex column, and then item center, and justify center, which is going to bring this to the center here. And then inside this UL, we want to transform this the social media links into a flex box. So give it once again a class name of flex and item center and justify center, and then let's add a flex wrap of wrap, and then let's add in a gap of about 4. So we're going to have this, and flex wrap is just to make sure that if your phone screen is lesser than this, then they automatically go into the next line. And then let's separate out this text from these icons. So right around here on the div, let's add in a gap of about 8 to separate it out. We're going to have that. And then on large screens, we want this text to come here and this one to come here. So the way you do that is by saying that for large screens, then the flex row is going to be reverse. So flex -row -reverse, which is going to bring this here and here. And then for large screens, we don't want some of this style. So let's say for large screens, then justify -between, which is going to take them to the end. There we go. Would you look at that? Looking amazing. And then let's increase the width of this image. So let's go back to the top. Let's say, wait a minute. That is pretty hard to do here. So let me just increase this to 180. Maybe 250. But on small screens, it's going to be still 250. But I think this is, it's still okay anyways. And would you look at that? All that is remaining now is our heading, our header. So inside our header, this is what we're going to do. Let's scroll back to the top. I'm not going to add in this button because it's going to introduce some overhead that I don't want to deal with. So what we're going to do is, we were creating this button. So let me give this button a custom class name of menu-button. And then inside the globals, I'm just going to go right above this. I want to say that for the menu dash button, I want to access the spans inside, and I want to give them a width of about 32 pixels. And then I want to give them a background color of hashtag, can I remember, 23, 22, 23. And this one is the color of the footer here. That is the same color that I'm giving these three lines that we're creating. And then once we have the width, I want the height to be about 8 pixels. And then let's give them a what? Let's do what? Margin bottom. First of all, let's see what we have on the screen. What do we have? Where is it? Menu button span. Can I even see it? I can't even see it. Let's move this text. Let's see. Where is the menu button? Let's give it a cursor of pointer. So cursor pointer, so that I can actually see it's not here. But where is it? So menu button. Let me see. Class name menu dash button. Let me see for the menu button, background color red. Wait, is it not even showing? Menu. Wait, the spans need to be block elements, so display block. There we go. Sometimes I hate CSS. So instead of having this as red, let's remove it. Let's remove this. So the spans are currently here, but you can't really see them separated out because we haven't separated them out. So here, let's say that for the span, let's give them a margin bottom of about 5 pixels, and they're going to be separated out. There we go. This height is too big, so let's say 3 pixels. There we go. Fantastic. And then what we need to do now is, because now this is a cursor of pointer, what we're going to do is, I don't want to create something overly complicated. So let's create this navbar, and the navbar is going to be below this. We're going to create a navbar with the UL with how many we want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 list items. So li times 5. We have here features. We have here pricing, and then we have blog, and then we have examples, and then we have resources, and then save it. And then we're going to create a state value here called is open and set is open. And then this is going to be equal to useState, import it, and by default it's going to be false. And then we're going to say that only when this is true, sorry, wait a minute, we can do this a number of ways. So we can do this a number of ways. I can say that only when is open is true, that's when I want the number to appear. And what you're going to notice is that if I change this to true, then we should see our number here. And then we can go ahead into our button, and then inside our button we can have an on click event where when you click on it, we're going to say set is open to the opposite of is open, meaning if it is true then set it to false, and if it is false then set it to true. So now I can click on this and set it to the opposite. So you can see that now we have created our toggle. We just need to style out this number to look a bit better. So give this a class name, and we're going to say display this as absolute. Really? Then bg white, and then top 0, bottom 0, left 0, and right 0, so that it covers the entire screen like so. And then give it a z-index of 50 so that it is above everything, as you can see right there. And then we're going to give it a padding. Let me give it a margin on the top of 12 to bring it downwards. And is it even 12? Let's say 20. Yes, 20. And then let's give it a padding all around of 8 to push this text inwards. And then inside the UL, let's give this a class name, and let's say text dash 2XL to make the text bigger, and then make it a flex box, and then flex column, and give it a gap of 8 to separate out the text. So we're going to have this, and you can see that this is what we have for our navbar, for the mobile navbar. Okay, now what we need to do is, on large screens, I'm not going to render this navbar, and I'm going to do a bit of hacks. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that for large screens, then display this one as hidden. So meaning if I try to bring this up from mobile up to large screens, it's going to be hidden. And then on large screens, I also want to hide this one. So let's go inside this div and give it a class name and say that for large screens, then display this as hidden. So it's going to be hidden. But then what you want to happen is, for large screens, then I want to have another navbar, which is just basically going to be almost something similar to this. So let's copy and then give this a class name. And by default, I want this navbar to be hidden on mobile. But on large screens, I want it to display as a flexbox, or rather as block, sorry. So that now on large screens, you can see that we have this here. Obviously, I don't want this 2XL text, so let's remove it. And then I also don't want flex column, but I think I still want a gap of 8, so that we're going to have this. And let me say something. We have login and join in for free. So what we need is, we need this navbar not to be here, but we need it to be inside this div that has the logo, so below this link, so that now it's going to appear here. Would you look at that? So that now I can go inside this div and give it a class name of flex, which is going to bring the navbar here, and then give it a class of items dash center, and then give it a gap of about gap of 8 to keep the spacing uniform. So that we're going to have that. Okay, and then we can create our 2 buttons, so our login and join for free buttons. And for that one, we're going to go below this navbar. We're going to create a div. We're going to create a button here that says log in, and then we're going to create another button that says join for free. Okay, so we have that here, and then inside here we can give this class name, and we're going to say by default, because I want this to be hidden by default. And then for large screens, I want this to display the flexbox. And then let's say that for large screens, I want the gap to be 8 as well, which is going to separate them out. There we go. So that is what we're going to have for our buttons for our navbar, because I did not want to start creating this navbar all the way from scratch. I did not want to do that. And if you know me, if you watch my videos, then you know I really don't like navbars. I don't like creating navbars. So would you look at that? That is a pretty good looking recreation of the original website. Actually, let's place this side by side. Let's see if we can do a side-by-side comparison. Look at that. Look at that. Looking quite nice, right? So we have this one, and then this is the original, and then this is the what's it called? The recreation that we've done. Look at that. Looking nice, nice, nice. Looking nice. And so that is going to be the end of this video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something new. And if you did, then please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And I will see you in the next video. And I just want to mention that I'm going to be committing this to GitHub, and I'm also going to deploy it to Netlify. And you can check the link in the description for the repository and for the live website as well. So see you in the next video. Bye-bye.